Hi there and welcome to this week's Career Insight session from 1080. As always, please do comment as we go through the session to let you know where you are from and any questions that you might have. So I am joined today by 1080 coach Liz Oseland and Mario Fablo, and we also have Genevieve Mary coming in as soon as the tech allows it. So they are both from Cardiff City Council. What we're going to be doing today is talking about volunteering and how that can help you in your career and your job search. So I've seen we've got one comment come through already. So good morning, Jeff. So just about afternoon here, but thank you for dialing in again. So good to see you. So first of all, we're going to just do a bit of an intro. So Liz, do you want to introduce yourself briefly and your kind of volunteering experience?
Yeah, hi everyone, my name's Liz Oseland. I'm a 1080 career coach and trainer and facilitator. And I've always been involved in volunteering, actually since I was in school. And wherever I've been in the world of my life, I've looked for different volunteering programs to join. Hence how I know Mario, because I'm currently a volunteer with Cardiff Council on the befriending scheme. So I can share some of my experiences of what I've got out of volunteering and how that's helped me as a person and also my career throughout today's session.
Brilliant. And welcome, Genevieve. Great to see you've got in okay. Mario, do you want to make us start with your intro?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Mario, and I'm a volunteer mentor. And we, Genevieve, we are part of the volunteer mentors team. We work for Into Work Advice Service, which is a department of Cardiff Council. And what we do is helping people to get a job or get back into work through volunteering. In particular, I'm responsible to recruit, help and support the people that would like to volunteer in any of the libraries across Cardiff. So every volunteer's mentor covers different tasks. I'm responsible for the libraries. At the moment, the volunteering opportunities that we offer for libraries duties is still quite limited due to COVID restrictions, but we do have some volunteering roles which involve like simple libraries duties like shelving, so putting books away, meet and greet people, digital help, so helping people with using the computers, or also storytelling and crafting for kids events.
Brilliant.
My colleague Genevieve is that cover, but yeah, she can talk about it.
Excellent. So Genevieve, we're just doing brief introductions to kind of you, your role and your experience with volunteering. So over to you.
Yes, I originally come from France, and when I arrived in 2015, I started as a volunteer for Cardiff Council in the job club. And then I applied for the first position that was created for volunteer mentor. And since that, the team grew. So obviously my main activity is job club, because that's where I was volunteering and that's why I was kind of recruited for, even though I was doing everything at the start because I was the only volunteer mentor. So I'm still in charge with all the job clubs across Cardiff, because we have job clubs in all the hubs and libraries, or the main ones. And so we recruit volunteers who support the customers to go online and apply for jobs, apply for benefits, job related usually, which is universal credit, and anything that is council related and online, which is applying for school, or anything or any information can be online, and we can help them to apply, or as well as home swapper, because you have a council property and you want to make an exchange, then you need to go and register on this website. So yes, I've been there for 6 years and a half now, I think. And the team is growing. So there's not only Mario and me, there's also Chris, who is dealing with adult learning. So if someone is interested in being an assistant teacher or working in a school environment, it can be interesting for them to check first if that's really what they had in mind and if that's the kind of contact they want with people. We also have Vic and Maddie, they're dealing with Butte Town, Pavilion, and all other outreaches we have across Cardiff for the hub part, and Maddie for the urban library in the places where she's responsible for.
Brilliant. So it's really, really great that we've got you two on as kind of guests that are actually doing this in practice. So working as volunteers and then helping people to find roles through that. So it's really, really great. And I know what you're talking about is going to be very focused around what Cardiff Council do, which is excellent. But I'm sure for anyone watching, if you have a look at your council websites, I'm sure that other councils do similar things. So hopefully it'll be a really good signposting exercise for wherever you are.
Yep.
So we'll go on to our first question, which is, why is volunteering a good thing to do? So in general terms, and Mario, I think you're going to start with this one, aren't you?
Yes, well, there are lots of different reasons why volunteering is a good thing to do, but I will keep that short here, and I will only mention like what I believe are the top three, I would say. Well, obviously it depends on what are your personal or professional goals, but volunteering in general has always positive aspects, and for what I know, it's always been a very positive experience for the people that are involved with. You know, one of the main reasons why I think volunteering is a good thing, to do, is related to jobs. So in terms of volunteering can be like a stepping stone for your next job, in terms of experience that you can get from it, or the skills that you could gain, or simply because volunteering can help you build or rebuild your confidence, especially if you've been out from work for a long time. Another good reason why I think volunteering is a good thing to do is related to social aspects. So especially for that volunteering opportunities that give you the chance of working with a team or with a team of volunteers, or even that kind of opportunities that give you the chance of dealing with the public. So volunteers in that case have the chance of socializing with other people. Not only that, but they also have the chance to meet new people and perhaps make new friends, and so take that social aspects in outside the volunteering hours, the working hours.
Brilliant.
A third reason, there's a third one, a third good reason.
No, that's good.
And is related to solidarity, is to help others. This, I think, is one of the best reasons why. We had an amazing response as Cardiff Council from our community when the pandemic hits, in terms of people willing to volunteer just to help others. Obviously, we can only talk about Cardiff, but I'm pretty sure there's been a trend pretty much everywhere else. But yes, we had a massive volume of volunteer application during the lockdown, just because people wanted to give back to their community and do their part. And actually, Liz has been one of these volunteers, yes, because she's actually helped us a lot with the befriending scheme. So maybe you want to add something there, Liz? About your experience? I don't know.
Yeah, so from my experience of volunteering, as I said, I started when I was a teenager, actually working with disabled children, volunteering in holiday camps. I've been a volunteer mentor, so mentoring young women who are looking to progress their career. The befriending scheme with Cardiff Council, so that's just contact with people who were shielding throughout the pandemic or isolated, so they didn't feel lonely. And Mary and I are just having a chat now, and one of my friends, I will say now, that I'm befriending with, really is a friend, and I look forward to chatting with him, and yeah, it's just fantastic to give back to the community. I've also, when I was in Australia, I was a volunteer with the Australian Refugee Association, so again supporting people who had newly arrived in the country to assimilate. And for me, yes, it is about, personally, the reason I've got involved is to give back to the community, but through that, as Mario said, I've developed lifelong friendships, learned a lot about myself, and I just think, yeah, if everyone can sort of get together and share knowledge, skills, support, then the world will be a happier place. So that's what I get out of volunteering.
Excellent, thank you. And Genevieve, anything to add to that?
Well, it's the same for me. I made friends. I discovered about the council and if I wanted to work with them. And also I met friends for life, and some of them became my housemates. So it's really interesting. You can get confidence. For me, it was about, I was working in employment in France, but then arriving here, I needed to make sure that what was happening was different, or in how it was different or the same as what I knew from the French employment market. So I needed to check all this. So it was a good way to get into the employment and get into on the job market, having the tools, having the information to be sure about what I was doing. So, and then, yes, the gaining skills or changing sector as well can be one of the reasons. It's a good thing to volunteer first rather than applying for the job. So, yeah, many reasons.
Excellent. And there's a comment here from Jeff. So he's saying here, volunteering really helped me to stay sane and confident during the time when I was in a 14-month job search. And absolutely. Yes. And that actually leads really nicely. So thank you, Jeff, into our next question. So this one was over to you, Genevieve. So how can volunteering help you in your job search or your career development?
Right. So volunteering is a stepping stone. So maybe you've never worked, maybe you haven't worked for a long time, maybe you come from abroad like I did, and you need to have this first experience in the country to check the way things work, but also to check where you stand and if you are still looking for the same thing. There are so many reasons, but it will help you to identify all this and enable you to do a job search with confidence. So you will see the context, which context is best for you. Is it a big group, a family-run company, a public services, private sector, third sector? You can volunteer to different places at the same time to be able to compare. I remember a lady who volunteered in a family-run company and in a shop, and she wasn't sure if she wanted to do admin or customer service. And then the thing is, she decided to apply for both because she liked them both. And it gave her the right references, the right reference for the right application, because she could give one reference in admin and one reference for the charity shop. So it gives you the references. So it gives you the context, identify the context, the best context for you. You will know the company. You will know if that's how it works before applying. It avoids the disappointment of having to go through a really long recruitment process, like in public services and third sector you have, or universities. It's a really long process. And then you arrive there, and then after today's date, actually, it's not for me. That's not what I had in mind. That's not what I thought. Well, maybe you should have checked before and you wouldn't have wasted all this time. And that's what I would really recommend, because you can have things in mind and then actually it doesn't correspond to reality. It has to be checked beforehand. Also, when you go for an interview, they mainly in third sector or in public services, they ask you real examples of your experience, past professional experience. If you've never worked, you can still give examples of volunteering, what you've discovered through or went through during volunteering action, because it's still an experience in a work context, and that's what they want to see. They want to see how you dealt with the problem, how you behaved, what was your relationship with your team members, and through volunteering you can get all this. Yeah, and obviously right. The professional reference is a must-have. You, depending on the companies, you might be required to provide 2 or 3 references. When you arrive in the country, when you arrive in a new place, how do you get them? Well, it can be one of those, because sometimes they ask you a morality reference, but you need to have known them for 5 years. So you can't work for 5 years and you have to wait for 5 years for the person to be able to give you a reference. No, it can be quicker. If you volunteer, then you will have the professional reference.
That's really great. And I really like the idea that you said about volunteering for a few different things at the same time. It's a bit like having a portfolio career, but all to do with volunteering. I think that's really good idea, as you said, to get that bit of variety. So Mario, anything to add to what Genevieve said here?
Yeah, well, as Genevieve said, volunteering for different roles actually help you even narrowing down your job search, in terms that if you don't really know what you'd like to do, what job you'd like to do, if you still like undecided a little bit, doing different roles, so it can actually help you narrowing down that list and saying, oh, maybe I don't like this particular role, so then you can focus your search on something else, something you think you are more interested in. So yeah.
I'm just going to put up the next question because I think we're kind of answering this at the same time. So what kind of volunteering is useful for job search? It sounds like anything is useful, really, doesn't it?
Anything, yes.
Yeah, I would say
you need to choose the right one. Oh, Mario.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Don't worry.
You need to choose the right one, the one that corresponds to the job you're looking for. Don't go for social media if you want to be a nurse. It doesn't make sense. And vice versa. I have a friend who went for a training, which was care, but she had never, worked in care. She doesn't have any experience. She never went to see someone in care. And so I said, yes, you're doing the training right now, but what about experiencing it yourself? Because I know that she's an emotional person. So will she be able to deal with that? The thing is, you have to check. And yes, volunteering is useful for your job search, to check the job you want to apply for is the right for you, that you will be able to do it on the long run, but also that you have the right skills for the right job. And if you don't, build these skills through volunteering, and then you will be able to sell yourself for the interview with the right skills.
Yeah, that's right. And I've got a friend at the moment who, she's been a teacher for 25 years. It's all she's ever done. She's enjoyed it, but she got to a bit of a crossroads, and she's like, not sure if I'm fancying a career change, but I don't even know what that would be. So she sort of sat down and looked at, well, what are skills and competencies from teaching and what she might be interested in, and she started to look at volunteering opportunities, and she started volunteering, and a couple of weeks in really loved it, was really passionate about what they were doing, could see being part of this, and a role came available. She got the role, and now she's doing part-time paid work that led from the volunteering with them, and part-time teaching, and it's a funded post. It's only till April, but as she said, those skills and that insight, like Genevieve was saying, she tried it out first and realised, yes, that is of interest for her. But now she's got the best of both worlds. She can continue it paid as well as teaching to decide, well, long term, which is my preference. So, yeah, I think the key part is volunteer in those areas that you are interested in, career change or developing those skills in.
Yeah, I've got a friend actually who's doing similar, Liz. So he was a teacher, and he stopped his full-time teaching position. He's now doing part-time supply work, and then he's doing some volunteering at the same time in helping sort of local scout groups and things like that. So yeah, I think there's definitely seems to be more and more people going down this route. Okay. So we were going to talk about how much time should you expect to or plan to set aside for volunteering. So Genevieve, have you got a view on this?
I think that's Mario.
That is Mario. Okay, over to you, Mario.
Yeah, well, it really depends on how much free or spare time you have, and also on the reason why you'd like to volunteer. So, for example, if you'd like to volunteer to help others or to give back to your community, then I'm pretty sure that anything you can give would be really appreciated, even just 1 hour a week or 1 hour a month or so. But if you like to volunteer in order to find a job, or to get like new or more skill or experience, then based on what we experience, me and Genevieve, I would say that a minimum of 2 hours a day, at least once a week, would give you a better chance of actually learning something or getting something back from volunteering in terms of skills and experience. Realistically, maybe 2 hours a day, twice a week would be better. Especially if you're already working, it is quite hard to find the time, to volunteer. But if you looking to volunteer in order to upskill, to get a better job or for a career change, then I would say that even in this case, anything you could give is good for you. And so the more you could give in terms of hours, obviously, the better will be for you, and it'll probably speed up the process of getting a better job or helping you with your career change. So yeah.
Okay. Excellent.
We established that there is a minimum in a way, based on our experience.
Yeah.
If you want to get something from it.
Something from it, yeah.
Yeah.
Liz, anything to add to that?
Yeah, just echoing what Mario said, it all depends on your purpose.
Yeah.
Management absolutely depends if you're working or not, or part-time.
Yeah.
So like the examples we were giving there, the teachers were part-time. The volunteering that they were doing was 2.5 days, exactly the amount of spare time that they had left. And that came to fruition for both of them. So yeah.
Yeah, which kind of leads us to the next question we had as well, which is how do you balance volunteering with paid work? And I think it is easy, isn't it, to get sucked in sometimes. That's probably not the right word, but you end up doing far more than you anticipated. So it can be a challenge, this volunteering. So have you got any advice on that? So Genevieve?
Well, there are different cases. If you're working a 9 to 5 every Monday to Friday, it will be limiting what you can do, because that means that your spare time is evenings and weekends. So if you're looking for experience in admin, chances are it's Monday to Friday. So it will be complicated. You might have to do that during your holidays, maybe, or taking half a day if you have flexi, taking this time and planning to have this time off. If you're working by shift, though, it's easier, because then you will be able to put these half days you have free and place some like volunteering action in there. Now you might be interested in volunteering weekends, and the activity you're looking for is on weekends. I don't know, supporting youngsters. There are activities after school, but also in the weekend and holidays. So it would match. So it really depends on what your time is and what time you can make available. Some companies offer to have free time to volunteer somewhere. So maybe check with your employer if there is anything planned that would facilitate your activity. So it really depends on what time you have available, what are your shifts. But yeah, paid work is really hard, because I have a friend who would like to volunteer, but every time she has extra shifts and she can't come. Yeah. So she gives the priority to her paid job. But then I said, at some point, you need also to think about what you want to do after, because what you're doing right now is staying in this employment and preventing yourself from going anywhere else by not being available to make your own search.
Yeah, absolutely. So time management is key then, isn't it, really? And like you say, really think about what it is you want to do next, and make sure that you're allowing yourself to do that stuff that's going to help you in the long run.
Yeah, and I also think, Sarah, it's like with any career coaching we do, it's sitting down yourself if you haven't got a coach, but to get really clear on what are your goals. Set some time scales to that. What are you hoping to achieve? Can you measure those outcomes and follow those sort of SMART principles?
Brilliant. Okay, so we'll move on to a practical one now. So how can you best demonstrate your volunteering on your CV? So I'm not sure who was going to go first on this one. So
I'll go.
You go.
Yeah. Well, if you have more than one volunteering experience, or with different organizations or for different roles, then probably it would be good to create a specific or dedicated section on your CV about volunteering. Perhaps putting that before the work experience in terms of layout of your CV. If you only volunteer once, then you can list that experience with all the recent work or in the activity session. And in any case, what I would suggest is to also briefly mention the volunteering experience in the personal profile or the personal statement or description, whatever we call that, the one on top, generally on top of your CV. And that is in order to highlight your volunteering experience, because employers always appreciate candidates who have previously volunteered. It shows commitment, shows dedication, and it shows also that you are willing to work even without being paid, basically. So yeah, it's always appreciated by employers based on our experience. Yeah.
Excellent. Genevieve, anything to add to that?
Yes, I think it really depends what you want to highlight with this volunteering action. It might be you're changing career. If you put it in your personal profile, then you show what you've been doing, what you want to do, and how it fits with what you are applying for. It can be also, and then if you put it in your recent activities, it shows that you have a recent experience, but also that you have the experience that correspond to what you're applying for. It really depends what you want to highlight. Sometimes it's just to say that you are a curious person, that you have a knowledge of the town, it depends. It's always difficult to answer these questions because it really depends on what is the plan, but also what you've done. Yeah. And how much you've done. If you have one volunteering experience, is it worth it doing a full section just with one experience? You have to be careful of the why you are doing things. It's not just like I was told that there should be this section and this section, and that the volunteer section is there. No, the volunteer part can be put in different places, depending on how you want to highlight and what you want to highlight.
Yeah, but wherever you decide, it definitely needs to be on there. And I think you'd be surprised at how many of my clients, I'll say to them, have you got any volunteering experience? And they say, oh yeah, why is that not on your CV? Well, it's not relevant. Well, absolutely it is, because if nothing else, it shows that you are giving something back to someone. So
Yes, and then I have a friend who was helping and was winning awards as volunteers and stuff. And I was saying, well, it shows that you're competitive, that shows that you put yourself forward, that you are hands-on. And they don't realize sometimes they do things because they like it. They do things because they want to do it. Yes, that's your choice, but your job should be your choice as well. So why don't you make things match and help each other? Like you don't have two separate lives. You are you. And what you do in your spare time is actually helping and showing what you are in your work environment.
Absolutely, it's building that whole picture of you, isn't it?
Yep.
And you most of the time you get like experience, you get skills from your volunteering and from volunteering. So it's important to highlight that, especially if it gives you the right skill for the job you're applying for. Yeah.
Excellent. All right, I'm just going to quickly put the next question up, which I think me and Liz are going to talk about, which is about LinkedIn. So how can you demonstrate your volunteering on LinkedIn? So Liz, do you want to say a couple of words about that?
Again, so there is a section on LinkedIn where you can add it specifically as volunteering. But it's going to what Genevieve was saying there. If you're looking for your competencies and your skills, and you've got that under, say, a work, because it is almost like your chronological CV, that's great. But if you haven't, then include it higher up and saying, communication, time management, dealing with difficult people, whatever it is. And you can still have volunteering and the name much higher up, particularly if your purpose is that you are trying to get into a different sector or try out a different role, and that is your latest experience. As we've talked about, irrelevant's not quite the right word, but it is irrelevant whether it's paid work or volunteering. Your experience and knowledge, you can't take that away from you.
Okay.
Definitely. And then also on LinkedIn, you've got your headline section. So right at the top underneath your name, you could put something in there about your volunteering work, and then the about section. So that kind of comes back to that profile statement at the top of the CV. It's kind of summarizing you as a whole person. So that about section is really a useful area. So lots that you can do on LinkedIn. So last question, we're kind of running a little bit short on time now. So how can you talk about volunteering at interviews for paid work? So Genevieve, you starting with that one?
Yeah, well, you will have to to talk about volunteering, because if you have gained the experience through volunteering, then that's the example that you're going to give, not something that you will have had from your previous paid works. So it makes sense that you have to treat your volunteering action as an experience, a full experience, and use it for your paid work interviews. There is no difference. You met the same people, you are in the same team, you are doing the same job. Even if maybe you don't have access to this program because it's only people who have an access and stuff, but you doing the same thing.
Brilliant. Mario, anything to add to that?
No, yeah, Genevieve covered pretty much everything. Yeah, volunteering is, especially when you talk about during an interview, just talk about like if there's another work experience you had, goes, yeah, pretty much the same thing, and what you gain from it in terms of experience and skills. Also, all of the interviews, they're asking you to give example, and I think your volunteering experience could be a very good example and could give you lots of different examples to talk about it.
Excellent, thank you. And Liz, any final comments for you on that one? No, okay, brilliant. So we will now move on to our top tip to take away. So over to you. I'm not sure who's going to say their top tip first. So the one thing that you want people to think about after this session.
I would say don't settle for one position. If you're volunteering, you are taken somewhere to volunteer, still, I would say volunteer somewhere else. It can be useful. Maybe you will gain more experience, and you will like more the other one, and you will be able to talk about it better at an interview. Maybe actually the reference will be the one you choose and it makes sense. Yeah, I would say don't settle for one. Do more than one volunteering action.
Excellent, thank you. And Mario, your top tip?
Yeah, I would say if you're looking for a job, you clearly know what job you'd like to apply for, and maybe you don't feel confident enough to apply. Maybe you can look for volunteering opportunities within that role or something similar, which will then give you can help you build up that confidence for both actually doing the interviews and then actually starting with the job and do it confidently.
Brilliant, thank you. Yeah. Good. And Liz, anything from you?
Just go for it. You know, be really clear on what your purpose is and what you want to get out of the volunteering. And I think once you start researching, you'll be amazed at the amount of really awesome volunteering opportunities there are that should really suit your needs. And if there isn't, then don't be afraid. If there's an organisation, a charity, or whatever it is that you are interested in, a school that you want to get that experience, also don't be afraid to approach them and say, hey, I'm looking to collaborate with you or come and do some volunteering. Is it possible? And 9 times out of 10 usually that's not a problem to do that. So yeah, just go for it. I've got so much out of it personally, and I know everyone else on here is commenting the same. So
yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you very much. Thanks again for joining us. It's really nice to have external guests coming on, and obviously you are doing exactly what we're talking about. So it's really, really great to have you. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Yeah. Very welcome. So next week I'm going to be back and talking about tips for using video in job applications and then generally during your job search. So I'm not sure if anyone is joining me yet, but that's the topic. So I'll see you next week. So thanks again.
Thank
you. Enjoy your afternoon. Bye.